Infrastructure spending to be brought forward. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I'm still working through my morning coffee, and I thought we would have a look at this article about the government pulling forward infrastructure spending. Now, this is from news.com, prepared by Sam Clench. Before we go through it, let's jump over to this diagram or map and have a look at some of these potential projects. Now, it may sound good. A lot of people are calling for infrastructure spending, but I'm a little skeptical over the outcome. Number one, they're proposing to get shovel-ready projects which are apparently just sitting there and ready to go. Hit the ground running straight away. Boom, 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 pull them forward and just do them. Now, actually, I'm going to jump to something else before we go to that. I'll go to our own website. And I'll just show you, we'll scroll down here. Here we go. These are some images from the Dornier and Cavalry Ridge, one of the large MIAs we did. And you can see several buildings there. This would be the closest as architects we have come to large infrastructure projects. Now, each of them probably about 20 mil, and a fair amount of time and work preparing all the documentation and just the buildings for this, let alone all the site preparation, the civil works, the design of the slab, the pads, and then just the logistics of getting the team up there, all while the mine is operating next door. So these things take time. You can't just flick a switch and make it happen. This is why government often seems frustratingly slow, because the politicians will be banding about and saying how fantastic everything is and how they're going to do this, and this, and then it takes forever for things to move, because stuff takes time. You have to do it properly. You have to do projects properly. If you don't, then you get issues. So let's have a look at some of these projects. Let's go to Queensland for my state, and what we'll do is we'll have a look at some of these jobs, and you tell me in the comments if you think it's going to be a potential for your small business to have access to it, or if it would be a flow-on. So let's have a look. What do we have here? The Mount Isa Townsville Rail Corridor Upgrade. It's an initiative. So it's proposed by state government. It's a transportation project. So this is, a large-scale rail upgrade job. Now, the issue is a lot of people who are transferring from the construction industry, which has taken a huge hit recently, and we can see that just in the decline in building approvals, how they're trending down. They're trending down. Insolvencies in construction is higher than other industries. Now, how many carpenters, how many sparkies are going to be able to work on a rail project? How many architects are going to be able to work on a rail project? All the buildings, I assume, along here will be prefabricated buildings for the construction stage of the job, and then they'll be trucked off. The idea is that the capital investment here will flow through to other parts of the economy and would have a stimulatory effect on other sections of it. So there's a time delay to that as well. There's a time delay for the projects to get on, to get up and running. Then there's a time delay for the economic expenditure to flow through to other portions of the economy. So we've got rail upgrades, we've got a port upgrade, we've got a highway upgrade. Here you go. So this will improve probably access to all of these towns, and then that might be spurring more economic activity in those towns, and then it may flow on to other parts of the economy. But these are all big projects, guys. The Warrego Highway upgrade. How is that going to have, as much as I am critical of the building education revolution, in some ways it would have spread the money a little bit further than these type of projects. If anyone has hints for large civil companies that are trading on the ASX that are about to reap some financial rewards, please leave those in the comments. Not financial advice. You do your own research. But I appreciate your tips, guys, because I know people that are looking at those. So this is just something to consider. And there's a good old broken window fallacy. That's where the argument that is breaking a window is good for the economy. And that's just something we need to consider that may be occurring with this government stimulus spending, particularly if it's rushed, particularly if it's an emotive response. So let's jump back and have a look at this article. And I mean, let me know, guys, if any of you are in, I'm sure that some of you in the civil game, this would be fantastic. Working for large engineering firms, this would be something that'll help you guys keep going. And then what you need to do, you need to get that extension done. Okay, you need to get that extension done on the house. Get that new bathroom or that other level put on there. Yeah, that's it. Come on, spread it. I think that's what's meant to happen. So, government to bring forward infrastructure spending to help stimulate the economy. For months, the Prime Minister has resisted calls for his government to do more to boost Australia's economy, and that's about to change. Tonight, Scott Morrison will announce he is bringing forward $3.8 billion worth of infrastructure spending in an attempt to reinforce the economy. It's a significant move from the government, which has recently faced and largely resisted calls to put more economic stimulus to counter lukewarm growth at home and increasingly worrying headwinds overseas. Last month, the International Monetary Fund revised its forecast for Australia's economic growth in 2019 down to 1.7%. Global growth was downgraded too, and the IMF advised countries to invest more in infrastructure. One thing, actually, that I'm disappointed we're not seeing more here is looking at, let's go to the list view. Road. See, they're all transport, aren't they? Transport. Oh, here we go. Energy. Connect gas suppliers to Eastern Gas Market. Okay, good. There's an energy one. Transport. Water. Darwin Regional Water Supply Infrastructure Projects Upgrade. So there we go. We've got one water and one energy. Transport. Another water. The Hawkesbury Napier Valley Flood Management. Okay, good. Hobart Science and Technology Precinct. Okay. Transport. We've got another water. The Lower Fitzroy River Water Infrastructure Development. Transport. M1 Pacific Motorway Varsity Lakes to Hugon Upgrade. Transport. M1 8 Mile Plains to Daisy Hill. Transport. We've got motor transport, Melbourne Airport, third runway, Airport 1. I'd say that's transport. What do you reckon, guys? Oh, not the same. Yeah, okay. Well, still. So there's a few that we've seen that are not transport. Here we go, water. The Malla Wellington Water Project. So, and energy, National Electrical Market, Future Connectivity and Reliability, National Electrical Market, Near-Term Optimization, Transport. Wow, they love their transport projects, don't they? Here we go. Just relocating a degree program in Lonnie. I thought that was funny when I discovered that. Because, I mean, this is the thing. You're relocating one thing to another. It's going to have a positive economic effect in one part and a negative economic effect on the other. All transport, another airport, a port, transport, another port. And I'll link to this, guys, if you want to go through it in any detail. Corridor preservation, transport, other, nope. Transport. So we can see here, and I'll just cheat now. Let's click on the water or energy. We've got 3 energy projects. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 water projects. Because the reason I'm bringing that up in such a long-winded way is that water and energy are going to have a significant impact on our lives. We've got water shortages. There's even talk now in southeast Queensland, our dams are down, so we're going to have water restrictions again. Now, I did a video in the past where I looked at our population growth and how fast it has grown compared to our water infrastructure storage, and we're becoming more and more reliant on desalination, which I know is it sounds good and exciting, but guys, a dam is going to be we've got so much land in this country, and you also get all of the other social benefits of having this infrastructure. How many people have fond memories of going fishing or camping at a dam as a kid? So that's another concern. Another point I just want to draw your attention to. So much of this investment is in transport infrastructure. And we've also got all the hippies that don't want anyone to drive cars because it's bad for the environment. There you go. So tonight's announcement, which Mr. Morrison will deliver in a speech to the Business Council of Australia annual dinner, is a large step in that direction. The $3.8 billion figure covers the 4-year forward estimates period. About half of it, $1.78 billion, will come in the next 18 months. So there you go, guys. It is not happening instantly. It's a year and a half, 4 years, a 4-year period. In total, $2.72 billion in existing infrastructure spending is being accelerated, and another $1.06 billion in additional funds is being added. Shortly after the election, I wrote to all state and territory leaders asking them to identify infrastructure projects from our $100 billion 10-year program that could be accelerated. I'm pleased to announce that as a result of this process, we've been able to bring forward $3.8 billion of investment into the next 4 years, Mr. Morrison is expected to say. This will support the economy in 2 ways: by accelerating construction activity and supporting jobs in the near term, and by reaping longer run productivity gains sooner. Okay, here's a question I put to you. Will a tremendous investment in roads have a productivity gain, as we think? Just building roads everywhere. It's going to allow for the transportation of goods and services around the country. None of this stuff, none of these projects that we're seeing here, nothing jumps out as completely innovative. Port, let's look at the other. We've got Science and Technology Precinct, Northern Transformation Project, provision of enabling infrastructure and essential services to remote and Northern Territory communities, mobile coverage, and a Sydney cruise terminal capacity. I would like to see a special economic zone, zonal taxation, something to encourage manufacturing in this country directly, not just a road. Oh wow, you built a new road, so my factory is going to get closer to the port or the airports. Something to try and directly encourage people to manufacture here in Australia, to set up their factories, to make it economically competitive on a global scale, so we can value add to our economy. We can increase our economic complexity, guys. None of this stuff is anything here. More roads, is that going to bump up the economic complexity? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. Because we're in a different world now, aren't we? Are roads as important or as effective as they were in the past? And a lot of these are big, long-distance roads. I guess they're playing catch-up because of the huge population growth to lift up this housing bubble now and upgrade all the crap roads. So is it just going to fix a problem that they should have addressed? So are they addressing bad planning, or is it going to have, greater impact? Are people getting to work 30 minutes earlier or an hour earlier? It's going to improve quality of life. Will it improve productivity? It'll probably reduce our healthcare costs. So there's another consideration. So every state and territory will benefit with significant transport projects to be accelerated in all jurisdictions. We saw an early hint of this move on Monday when the government announced $415 million of accelerated and added funding for roads and rail projects in South Australia in partnership with the state government. Similar deals with Queensland and Western Australia are expected to be confirmed in coming days. The stimulus is not limited to infrastructure either. Mr. Morrison also counts the government's $7.2 billion tax cuts along with $550 million of drought assistance measures as examples of efforts to strengthen growth. Okay, the drought, this is emergency funding. This is definitely fixing a broken window. That's not stimulus. Tax cuts, fantastic. Fantastic, good. I would like to see states abolish payroll tax. I would like to see measures in place to reduce taxes for businesses that value add to the economy. Maybe to value add to some of these raw minerals that we're exporting overseas. But for months he has faced calls to do more. As far back as August, Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe was pushing for Mr. Morrison and Treasurer Josh Frydenberg to take action. One option is for fiscal support, including through spending on infrastructure, Dr. Lowe said. Spending on infrastructure not only adds to demands in the economy, but done properly, it also boosts the economy's productivity. It can also directly improve the quality of people's lives through reduced congestion and improving services. At the moment, there are some capacity constraints in parts of the infrastructure sector, but these should not prevent us from looking for further opportunities to boost the economy's productivity capacity and support domestic demand. There is no shortage of finance to do this. With interest rates the lowest they have ever been this week, all governments in Australia can borrow for 10 years for less than ever. So spending on infrastructure not only adds to demand of the economy, but does... Okay, it's repeating there. So Labor is advocating something even more drastic. Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers has frequently accused the government of patting itself on the back and pretending everything is hunky-dory. Who uses the term hunky-dory? I mean, good on him. Beyond infrastructure, he has pressured Mr. Morrison to bring forward stage 2 of the government's tax cuts, increasing the New Start unemployment benefit, incentivising business investment, or look at wages policy, framing each option as a potential way to drive growth. Well, I'm quite impressed with the proposals from the Shadow Treasurer, to be honest. I really hope Labor get rid of some of their social justice rubbish and wake up and start realising that we have a legitimate alternative to Liberal. I hope they do. They're all jumping into bed with identity politics, this whole fantasy of the wage gap, all this rubbish that are making part of their policies, positive discrimination. They need to lose that. And then they might actually have a chance. So tonight the Prime Minister will push back on that, deriding Labor's approach as panicked. A panicked reaction to contemporary challenges would amount to a serious misdiagnosis of our economic situation. But what if the information that they're basing their decisions on is out of date or is incorrect? What if they actually are trusting the property price figures that they're getting from CoreLogic and not cross-checking it? You tell me, guys. A responsible and sensible government does not run the country as if it is constantly at DEFCON 1 the whole time, whether on the economy or any other issue. It deals with issues practically and soberly. Tonight, the Prime Minister will push back on that. Okay, I've already read that. I'm getting some problems here with my capturing. Mr. Morrison expected today. The appetite for crisis, popular amongst some these days on so many issues, reflects an immaturity demanding urgent action regardless of the consequences. Urgency takes over reason. What you get is the fiscal debacle that was rendered by the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd Labor government that we are still paying for to this day and that Labor continues to promote. We will not be following Labor's example or policy prescriptions. If Australia wanted to elect economic panic merchants, they would have voted Labor. Well, he makes a good point there. But we need to see some innovation, guys. We need to see some innovation. I mean, God, look at the complexity of our economy. Look at what we're, iron ore, coal, petroleum gas. We're not value adding to anything. We're not value adding to anything at all. Look at the projects that we have here, the other ones, airports. They're upgrading 3 airports. What's social? Remote housing, overcrowding, high priority. Okay, wow. Well, look at how much part of the country that's dealing with. I'm not surprised. Telecommunications. Nothing. So, maybe I'm just a cynical bastard, but, building roads, is that gonna make the difference? Let me know what you all think, guys. Please in the comments. What would your suggestions be for infrastructure spending? At least there's some water and some energy, but there's no exploration of nuclear energy here in Australia. Do you think people would even accept that? What about trying to generate, other technologies or innovation or manufacturing? Oh, well, guys, let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. Do you think this is going to be the cure-all, the panacea for next year? Do you think it will help continue the housing bubble? And will it address unemployment? Or will it just focus on a few companies? That's one thing from the building education revolution. A lot of big project management companies made some really good money. So that's where, again, I'm asking for your stock tips, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. If you like the channel and want to help me produce more videos, I have a Patreon where you can make a donation. I also have an Amazon and eBay affiliate link where I receive a commission when you just make a purchase. It doesn't cost you a cent. And I have PayPal and Ethereum if you want to make donations that way. I appreciate all your help and support. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye for now.